Good evening. We are calling the September 14th meeting of the Trinity County Planning Commission to order at 6 o'clock. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we'll open the meeting to public comment. During the public comment period, members of the public may address the Planning Commission on any matter not listed on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Planning Commission. Do we have any public comment in the room? Do we have any public comment on Zoom? No public comment on Zoom. We will close public comment. And we will move on to the regular calendar. So item 1 is to approve the minutes of the August 3rd, 2023 and the August 10th, 2023 meetings. I do have a correction for the August 3rd meeting. Agenda item 8. The appeal of the cannabis director's decision by the Rowdy Bear Road folks. So in that roll call vote, I voted no and Commissioner Ellis voted yes. So the result is the same, 4-1, but it's just
Yeah, I'm trying to.
8. So item 8 follows item 4. The correction is that Commissioner Ellis voted aye. Commissioner Fall voted no. Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve the August 3rd minutes with that correction.
I'll make a motion, including the correction on the item 8 appeal.
A second.
I'll second.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Sharp, second by Commissioner Barrett. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No, thank you. We will move on to approval of the minutes for August 10th. Do we have any corrections? And if not, a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of August 10.
A motion by Commissioner Heaton. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
A second by Commissioner Ellis. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We will now move on to item 2, Director's Use Permit, DP-23-12. An application request to replace sign at the Hayfork Seventh-day Adventist Church. The purpose of this public hearing is to seek from the Planning Commission an exception from the regulations and requirements of Code Sections 15.08.060 and 15.08.070 of the sign ordinance. The project is located at 60 Reservoir Road, Hayfork, California. APN number 014-171-040-000. Applicant David Bostrom for Hayfork Seventh-day Adventist Church. Planner Mitchell Wexler. Mr. Wexler?
Good evening, Commissioners. I am presenting item number 2 for the Hayfork Seventh-day Adventist internally illuminated sign. This proposed sign is 51 square feet large and 9 feet tall and would replace the current externally illuminated sign the church currently uses. This sign has been up to 50 years old potentially, and it is seen by the church as long past due to replace. This item has been brought to the Commission to a determination due to a determination that it would require an exception to the regulations in County Code Chapter 15.08, the sign ordinance. The proposed sign would be located at 60 Reservoir Road in Hayfork, next to the church. The property is currently zoned as low-density, single-family residential and has its utilities covered by our county services of Trinity Public Utilities District and Trinity County Waterworks District Number 1. The parcel is bounded to the west and north by Reservoir Road, to the south by State Highway 3, and to the east by another residential parcel. While there has been no recent landslide nearby the parcel, it is notable that the land is particularly susceptible to one in the future. So for the purpose of this item, a soils report has been added to the conditions of approval in order to avoid any potential risk, or at least mitigate it. The DUP was originally submitted on May 25th, 2023. While it does not include the sign's specific location, we are aware of its approximate area outside of the required setbacks. By that, of course, I mean within those that are set. So if the distance being 50 feet from the state highway, it is beyond 50 feet, and 40 feet from Reservoir Road, it is beyond 40 feet, putting it in a suitable in compliance position on the property with the requirements of Caltrans and our county's Department of Transportation. In conjunction with the building department, it will be seen that the sign is located within those parameters that I have just described. Regarding its placement in R1 zoning, Trinity County Code Section 15.08.070 provides the sign allowances within the district. It allows for a sign advertising the sale of the property on which the sign is located, up to 12 square feet, one sign per site, as well as a subdivision sign on site of the property to be sold, 96 square feet, one sign per site. However, it is worth noting in this case that churches are considered a quasi-public use, a type allowed in R1 zoning and listed in the Trinity County General or Zoning Code. Pardon me. Given that a church is a typical part of a church sign is a typical part of a congregation, having a church sign is in line with the intent of the zoning code. The general plan designation for this property is single family, subject to the Hayfork Community Plan. This plan sets forth recommendations on what signs in Hayfork should look like. It recommends that they use natural, or that they look natural, that they are monument style, meaning they are on the ground, that they have no flashing lights or any kind of strobe effects, and that they are less than 10 feet above the adjacent roadway, among other points. This sign is not fully in line with those points. However, it is worth noting that within the community of Hayfork, there are multiple signs that are built much above State Route 3 and have not been approved by the planning department. These signs are those that are heavily illuminated, that are sometimes off-site of what they are supposed to be representing. And in many cases, they are not looking entirely natural. So this would appear to go up and to put aside the recommendations of the general plan, which are non-binding. And it would go with a kind of different practice, an adopted practice, if you will. This sign does meet with that adopted practice, and and with that said, it is seen that it is in line with the intent of the general plan, given that it does meet at least half of the points put forward. The CEQA guidelines section 1511 refers to class 11 exemption for accessory structures. It states the following: class 11 consists of construction or placement of minor structures accessory to or appurtenant to existing commercial, industrial, or institutional facilities, including but not limited to on-premise signs, small parking lots, and placement of seasonal or temporary use items such as lifeguard towers, mobile food units, portable restrooms, or similar items in generally the same locations from time to time in publicly owned parks, stadiums, or other facilities designed for public use. Because the purpose of this project is the placement of an interior illuminated sign on the site of an existing institutional facility, the project qualifies for a Class 11 exemption. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt Resolution PC-2023-09 for the approval of an exception to the regulations in County Code Chapter 15.08, sign ordinance for the placement of an internally illuminated on-site sign for the Hayfork Seventh-day Adventist Church. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wexler. At this time, does the applicant wish to make any statement regarding your application?
Yes, I would. And appreciate learning about this. Mitchell, thank you so much for a good introduction. And Debbie Roget. I just mentioned this at the start, these two people, because when we moved here about in 2014 and began to property that we bought back in 1980, we were very impressed with our building department. Jim Santiago and Jeff Dickey. Jeff was our inspector when we built a log home here. So we moved here after retiring. And I must say this, I wish our pastor could be here tonight, but he couldn't be here. So I'm first elder of the church representing this request. But in a time of negative news, I just want to say how much we appreciated the building department. And then about 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago, because we needed a new sign, and because across the street from our church, Signs Plus had put the high school sign, a digital red sign, and with all the information, flowing from high school. And then, and so that's what stimulated us to bring a group over to the building department. But at that time, they encouraged us, well, that probably wouldn't be acceptable. And they were all very compliant in that opinion. And so we backed off and the rest until last November. And this is where, when we had moved here and built here, and we saw a new digital sign going in at the elementary school, full color. And we had the sign across the street for the school. And then, of course, Wiley's some years ago has a digital sign. We thought, well, let's appeal again. We've seen so many good changes, even over here in Weaverville and in our town. They remodeled the elementary school. And we thought, well, let's go. And the building department was so favorable this time. Yeah, we'll handle it. We think it will go through. And then when I met Debbie and Mitch, I didn't meet Mitchell at first, but I want to say these people are employees that really give a positive impact and an impression of how nice our town is. And I want to say a special thank you. Now, in that light, the reason for us really requesting the sign is I moved here because our little Hayfork Seventh-day Adventist Church is very committed to our community. We used to have a school, but I know Dr. Kazire, our dentist, for 50 years, they've run the only real, like a Boy Scouts program. It's called Pathfinders. And that Pathfinder group itself is constantly having Mother's Day breakfasts or Father's Day and all other kinds of activities for the community. And it's all really involved with the boys and girls from the community and the school. And so that's the type of thing that's going on in our church. Because we're so committed to health principles, we have so many programs, whether it's reversing diabetes or vegetarian cookery, to extend your life, and all the other types of ministries. Sometimes there's one health program a month and other activities. And we always are faced with advertising. And so it became a natural thing. If we could just advertise the Pathfinder Club in the community and all of the health programs, it would save us so much, even though the sign is a tremendous investment, something like $25,000. That would sure make it easier because it's all electronic, easy to do. It was just smooth out our whole procedure of trying to promote and offer things to the community. And so our church would like to really present that positive welcome to our town. This would be probably a significant place when they enter our town. Aurora would be acquainted with that. It would be a landmark sign, but we want things on there that are positive, uplifting, inspiring, cheerful, and just encouraging the people to step up and live a healthy, happy, prosperous life. And so just from our heart to you, I'd just like to make an appeal for this. That we could have a sign that can really help the community. Right across the street, the school sign is there. I've been reading their activities for the last many years since I moved here. And I think it'd be wonderful to have a church right there in the community that would welcome everyone. And so I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Do the commissioners have any technical or clarifying questions?
Yes, if I may, Madam Chair. Can either planning or the owner, can you describe where on attachment D that sign would be? If you use aerial map attachment D, it gives a pretty good picture of the lot.
Must have fallen on the way here.
It's this one.
Thank you. Yes, I can certainly describe the location of it. The building is located right over here, and it would be located essentially nearby where the two lower trees near the corner of Reservoir Road and State Highway 3 are currently located. It would also be located in the immediate vicinity of the current sign that the church has. It would be outside of the 50-foot setback, as I mentioned, from the state highway and that of Reservoir Road. So it would be in this general vicinity over here, if that's clear enough.
Thank you. Can you describe the topography right there? Is that sloping? Is it flat? What is the condition right there?
The topography is mildly sloping. It does have a canal to allow for excess water to move through, effectively preventing it from going directly onto the main roadway. This little canal divides the roadway from the slight hill, more of a slope really, between the church and the road itself.
How large is this sign in comparison to the one that is there now? What size is the one that's existing?
I have not taken measurements of the existing sign. This sign would be very different in terms of its look and overall dimensions. I do know it would be much larger. However, it would effectively still be it would still be the church's sign and still operate in the same purpose, albeit one that is mildly increased for capacity to show information throughout the community.
Sure. Would you say it's close to the same size or just much larger period?
I would say that it is larger, but it is not too notably larger. It is a noticeable amount, but it is not one that would ultimately be consequential.
Okay. And one last question, if I may. You mentioned a soils report being necessary for this. Can you explain the reason for the soils report?
One of the newest layers that we have at the planning department is for different grades of soil that are susceptible to landslides. In this era of increased rainfall, we want to make sure that we are able to guarantee the safety of all new structures in parcels throughout the county. When I looked over this area, it showed that there was a high susceptibility. It's worth noting that there is no major slope in that area. It's a very slight slope, but in order to allow for caution and allow for us to be certain, it was recommended that we have one just to be safe.
So would you say the soils report is so you can gain information on how large to build the ballast for the sign?
That's one interpretation. It could be also about how deep to go down, depending on the.
That is the ballast, yeah.
Oh, got it. Thank you
Yeah.
for that clarification.
Yeah, okay, no, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't on some steep slope or something, so it doesn't sound like it is. It's more about the anchoring of that sign.
Yeah, I'd say that if I had to display it, I'd say the slope is roughly about, it's notable from the highway. It's about this much, I would say. It's
20 degrees, 25 degrees?
yeah, the kind that a child could run up with enough momentum.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I have another question.
Commissioner
is-
Heaton?
Oh, thank you. Now the sign that is is this the sign that we're with the dimensions and everything else? Is this the sign that we're looking at acquiring there in Hayfork?
Yes.
Okay, because when you talk about like the sign, it seems like if I remember right, when I drove past it there this morning, the sign is probably, I don't know, I'd say probably it's about 2 foot or maybe even 2.5 feet tall, but it's like Seventh-day Adventist Church or whatever is all spread out in one long deal. And just looking, because it's like the calculations, if you call it a 8 by, for the height, 8 by 6, that's only 48 square feet. It seems like there'd be quite a bit, it'd be square footage wise. I think that I have never measured the sign, but I'm estimating, I would figure that the square footage of the sign would actually be smaller than what's there now.
Okay.
Any other technical or clarifying questions? So I'm just curious, the landside susceptibility map, is it more intended to like look at buildings and the effect of a landslide on a building versus something like a sign? Like if a sign falls over, I don't know that the concern would be the same as if a building slid. So do you have any feel for what they were really trying to address with the landslide susceptibility map?
My understanding of it is that it is largely for buildings. However, given that this is located nearby a major right-of-way, one that many parts of the county depend on in order to reach major hubs like Reading, if we have another winter like we have this last one, and it is increasingly looking like that is a possibility overall, there is a chance that this could dislodge parts of the ballast and slide it and have it fall over onto the roadway potentially. And while it may seem like a bit of a stretch at this moment, given how beautiful the weather's been, it definitely could be a concern. And that was what the planning department was trying to account for by having this.
Madam Chair, if I may. It is common to order a soils report for signs, but not for landslides. It is always to establish that ballast because all soil composition is different. Some is sand, some is rock. Whatever that composition is how big a piece of concrete you need in the dirt to hold it. So it is common to see that. The landslide thing is not common. I've never heard of that. So that was my big question as well.
Chair, if I may add one thing,
Yeah.
that is something that the building department would look at as part of their building permit process, and they may make a determination to require one or not at that phase,
Okay,
just to add some additional.
thank you. Thank you. That's very helpful, Ms. Hedke. Okay, so we will now open this agenda item to public comment. So do we have anyone from the public in the room who would like to comment about this application? Anyone on Zoom? No comment on Zoom. Okay, so we will bring it back to the commission for a motion and discussion.
I'll make a motion.
Commissioner Sharp,
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution PC-2023-09 for the approval of an exemption to the regulations in County Code Chapter 15.08 sign ordinance for the replacement of an internally illuminated on-site sign for the Hayfork Seventh-day Adventist Church.
do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Heaton. Any discussion?
My thought on is this, it was like like the gentleman said, it's like you have the high school sign right across the street. You got Bailey's down the road, or not Bailey's, Ernie's just Wiley's, thank you, just down the street. But everybody's just down the road. It's like, you know what? And you got the elementary schools there. It's like, to me, it's a no brainer. Let's do it and let's not hold up progress.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, so since this is a resolution, we'll have a roll call vote.
Commissioner Heaton, how do you vote? Commissioner Heaton, how do you
Aye.
vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Sharp, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Ellis, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Barrett, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Chair Sharp, or Chair Fall, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you, 5-0. Motion approved to adopt resolution PC 2309.
Okay, thank you for coming, and your sign exception is approved. So now you get to go to the building department.
In 10 days.
All right, so now we are going to move on to agenda item number 3. Extension of time, P 2315, a request for a 1-year extension of time for a conditional use permit, P-17-51. Originally approved May 24th, 2018, to allow the establishment of a commercial cannabis nursery. The project site is located at 271 Industrial Parkway, Weaverville, California. APN 024-220-055-000. Applicant Stephen Hagan, planner Mitchell Wexler. Mr. Wexler.
Hello again. I am here to present item number 3 to allow for the extension of P file 17-51. The Planning Commission originally approved P-17-51, a commercial cannabis nursery CUP, on May 24th, 2018. SJH Timber Inc. was the original applicant. However, this project was soon taken over by Mr. Caden Koffler in June of 2019 and notified the planning department of his interest to continue the project. On September 10th, 2020, an extension of time was granted by the Planning Commission, which extended the project to June 7th, 2021. It was on July 7th, 2020, or June 7th, pardon that little typo there, the use permit was deemed expired by the department and its use had not been established. On July 28th, 2021, the applicant submitted an appeal to the director's decision that the permit had expired. Originally, when he first wanted to extend this in September, it was due to the COVID pandemic. And this time it was due to a dispute over the period of time in which the extension would last for. The applicant argued that the extension was necessary and lack of timely response on behalf of the county was part of the issue regarding why he needed to make it regarding the COVID pandemic and the such. The appeal was upheld and the project was extended to June 7th of 2022. On June 7th of 2022, the applicant submitted a request for an additional 1-year extension of time. He argued that this extension was needed due to the collapse of the cannabis flower market and his financial plans being derailed due to that, and that he needed time in order to line back up these financiers in order to ensure that his project remained financially viable. On June 7th, 2023, the use permit was deemed expired by the department as the use has not been established. On June 6th, however, we were contacted by Steve Hagan, the original person to apply for this under SJH Timber Inc. One thing that he made very pertinent to the planning department is that Mr. Koffler has been foreclosed on and is no longer a part of this project. And that Mr. Hagan would like to see this project move forward under new ownership. New ownership is exactly who would do so. The future pending owners, Casey and Gina Macy, and the future owners have agreed to complete the current project as it is in its existing form. At this time, there has been one application submitted regarding new ownership of the original project. This includes a letter explaining the pending change in ownership that has been signed by all owners, including present and future. This effectively explained everything that I have mentioned regarding the situation with Mr. Koffler and the unfortunate need to foreclose upon his lease of the property. Aside from the change in ownership, this extension would not change the conditions of the project or the project description. It would only extend the expiration date by a year with new owners and new management of the project. Trinity County Code, Chapter 17.32.050C discusses the circumstances for failure to establish a use regarding a use permit. Specifically, it must be established within 2 years of the time the permit has been issued. If it has not been established within that time frame, or the applicant has not applied for an extension of time prior to the expiration date, the use permit shall be deemed to be expired. As this use permit requires a building permit, the use shall be established in accordance with Chapter 17.32.050C, subsection 2, when such building permit is secured and construction physically commences. Because the applicant has applied for this extension prior to June 7th, they are in line with the requirements set forth in section 17.32.050. And this permit and the requirement for it to remain valid has been met. Trinity County Code section 17.32.050D does discuss the process for receiving an extension of time. Extensions may be granted by the agency which approved the use permit. In this case, the Planning Commission. Good cause is the exclusive criteria listed in this decision as need to grant an extension of time. Because there is new ownership of this parcel, as well as a lack of the financial issues that render the other project relatively undoable by the previous lessee, that would be considered good cause, as well as them signing on to the letter that declared their intention to move forward with the project. And on top of that, their signature of the indemnification form for the county. According to California CEQA guidelines, section 15.061, also known as the general rule exemption, it states that where there can be seen with certainty that there is no possibility that the activity in question may have a significant effect on the environment, the activity is not subject to CEQA. The temporary placement of an RV qualifies for a general rule exemption. And staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt a California Environmental Quality Act determination of a general rule exemption 15061B3 and approve P-23-15 subject to the findings included in Planning Commission Resolution P-2023-10.
Thank you. Does the applicant have any statement they would like to make?
I realize that this property comes with a history of some problems of people taking ownership, not paying, going into foreclosure. My husband and I own the parcel that abuts this parcel, the old ConAg property. And we've been here for 22 years and have run a couple businesses, and it isn't our intention to allow this to run on any longer than one more cycle, because if it doesn't happen in that cycle, it's just not going to happen. So we're just asking that you give us a chance, being new owners, not having to worry about foreclosure is this will close escrow fully and be done by next week. That for one more cycle, you give us a chance to extend this permit. That's about it, actually. Unless you have any questions for me.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for the applicant? Nope. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
So any other technical or clarifying questions for staff?
I have one for the planning commission department. One is is this permit being shifted from one person to another? And or is the permit attached to the property?
The permit is attached to the property. Caden Koffler was the lessee of the property, and he made it his intention to continue the project from Mr. Hagan. And under Caden Koffler, the project received the numerous extensions, as you have seen. And under the new owners, that would not likely happen, as there is not the same financial issues that mired the first one.
Okay, so the permit is transferable to the owners because it's attached to the property.
Yes,
Okay.
pardon me for going a bit.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure in my brain I got that.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Commissioner Sharp?
I have a few questions. The approval was done in 2017, correct?
It was in 2018 on May 24th.
Okay, all right, yeah. I guess it was probably pulled in 17 by the thing. Okay, have you guys checked into if there's been any changes in code, CEQA, Title 24, any of those things in that time frame to make sure that that CUP is still valid?
The CUP being valid was due to the extensions based on the code that allows for applied extent, or pardon me, I'm jumbling over my words a little bit. The general rule is that if an extension is applied for before the initial period is gone, then it may have an extension applied for. And then once the extension is approved, that would effectively extend the permit into the next state. And that has happened numerous times, unfortunately, due to the bad situation with Mr. Koffler.
Thank you for that.
I
I
guess
have no other questions yet.
so I guess you were trying to figure out if the criteria have changed for the issuance of the permit since it was originally.
It absolutely has. So, I
So,
mean, all
yeah.
codes change. I mean, electrical code changes every 3 years. I mean, this is more for discussion though, so I'll save it.
Do you want me to try to answer it? Or
You can. I mean, I have a discussion point on it, so we probably should save it.
an extension of time doesn't allow the commission to add any conditions or reevaluate for updated regulations.
Understood. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, any other technical or clarifying questions for staff or for the applicant? No? Okay. So we will open the floor to public comment on this agenda item. Do we have any public comment in the room? Any public comment on Zoom? No public comment on Zoom. Okay, so we will bring it back to the commission for a motion and discussion. Anyone care to make a motion for discussion purposes?
I'll make a motion. May?
Commissioner Barrett?
Yeah, my motion is to approve P-23-15, subject to the findings, including with planning commission's resolution for PC-2023-10.
And to adopt
Yes, to adopt the resolution.
Which one?
a California CEQA determination of a general rule exemption 15.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Where is it? Oh, I'm sorry.
Choose A, B, or C.
I apologize. I apologize. Adopt California Environmental Quality Act determination, general exemption 15061B3. And approve P2315, subject to the findings included in the Planning Commission resolution PC-2023-10.
Thank you for that. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Barrett, second by Commissioner Heaton. So discussion.
Yes, if I may, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Sharp.
So my concerns with this CUP is that it has been extended for so long. There hasn't been movement on it. And the whole purpose of a conditional use permit is to give the applicant time to get their stuff in order in a time frame that is cohesive with planning, with building codes, with updates that may happen during that building timeframe. So when a CUP extends for 6 years, you can rest assured that laws, CUPs, all the standards that were present during 2017 with this, when this was, or 18, when this was originally granted, are different now. So when you start stretching projects on this far, all of a sudden you stop being in compliance with codes today. And I know that's not a reason to grant or for the planning department to deny an extension. It's certainly a reason for the planning commission to consider a denial based on those facts. If those facts weren't looked into by planning, then we don't have the facts. And it may be, in fact, that there is nothing that has changed that would change the global template of the project, but there quite possibly could be if it's never been looked at. And typically, if this was, let's say that they were in their second year and they want to extend another 2 years, then you would be making an educated decision at that point that, yes, we probably are still within code parameters. Our general plan hasn't changed. The community vibe hasn't changed, that things are the way they are, and we can probably grant that with good conscience. In this situation, I don't know that we can. We are 6 years plus down the road from this initial inception, and things have changed. So that is, my argument to the board here to consider that before we approve this.
So it was approved in 2018, so that would be 5 years,
Mhm.
right? Okay. And then, so we have not changed as far as cannabis manufacturing processing, we have not changed the regulations regarding those activities. Are there other activities that you're worried about that have changed?
I have nothing specific because I wouldn't have anything to go off of. My only consideration would be codes, building codes.
If I may, Chair. I
Yes.
want to add on to my last comment where, when this applicant pulls a building permit, they will be subjected to modern building permit code standards, right, at the time that they submitted their building permit. But what I was getting at before is that the commission doesn't have the authority to add on conditions in relation
Sure.
to, the planning project that was evaluated in 2017, 18,
Right. That's understood.
or updated CEQA or anything like that.
Has
And they
CEQA
have to
changed?
adhere, yeah, CEQA changes every single year. It changes like almost
Right.
every single minute.
Yeah.
But like they have to adhere to the plans that they were approved to
Mhm.
because they're not asking for a modification.
Understood.
So most of the CEQA changes, though, regarding cannabis have been related to the cultivation and all those issues, not really the processing and manufacturing part. Am
Right.
I-
And this is nursery only, and they had an approved initial study.
Okay. Do we have any other discussion?
Yeah. My position has always been to help business prosper in Trinity County. The fact that this project has been delayed through COVID, financial constraints, and change of ownership shouldn't be a reflection on the intention of the new owner. I know the new owner, I know the old owner, I believe she is truthful and forthright with her intention to move forward on this project. It's zoned correctly. There are no additional changes. It's a good project and we should embrace business opportunities in Trinity County, not push them away.
Any other discussion?
I would wonder what, and this is mostly because I don't know. And just so we're all clear, I'm not here to shut this project down. I'm here to make sure that we don't create a monster out of CUPs. And so what is the typical extension, of a CUP? Is it out of the ordinary to be 6 years into a CUP and extend again? Does anybody have that kind of?
I'm sorry, I don't quite know how this mic works. I thought push meant that it allows me to talk. CUPs can be very complex. It often depends on the content of the project, and sometimes it can take many years. I just finished a lot line adjustment that went on for 7 years, and I'm glad that it was done. It's part of my job to help ensure that these things close and that the community at large can feel as though they are, or feel like they are being served, because that is my intention, and I do intend to serve. Some of them can go on for long periods of time, and I would say that 5 years is on the longer end, but it's not on the unseen end. And I would say that the conditions behind this one definitely do lead me to think that the issues that fell upon this project in the past shall not fall on it in the future.
Thank you for that. I'm good.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, I believe this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Heaton, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Barrett, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Ellis, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Sharp, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair Fall, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you. 5-0 to adopt the California Environmental Quality Act determination of a general rule exemption and approve P 2315, subject to the findings included in Planning Commission Resolution PC 2023-10.
Good luck with your project.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Godspeed.
Okay, we will move on to agenda item 4. Appeal of Planning Director's Decision P 2309. An appeal of Cannabis Director's decision to deny a commercial cannabis license renewal application CCL 208 for 480 Oak Ranch Road, Lewiston, APN 025-180-030-000. Appellant Stefan Monev, licensee Stefan Monev, Division Director Drew Poblani. Ms. Hedke.
I am not Drew, but I will be presenting. Good evening, Chair. Good evening, Commissioners. As the memo reads, the applicant's attorney has asked for a continuance, so we've moved in that direction and recommend that you continue it to the October 12th Planning Commission meeting.
Okay, given that this item was legally noticed for a public hearing, do we have any public comment in the room or on Zoom?
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the commission, Tom Belenko, Douglas City. I was the emergency pinch hitter in case this extension goes south. I am not particularly familiar with this issue. I do recognize the name though. And this is one of maybe 2 or 3 almost licensees, like applicants with a almost exclamation point that were kind of caught in the latest carve out in Lewiston. I think the commission knows I support carve outs. I think they are not a perfect solution, but they seem to be able to maintain some semblance of peace. They are not perfect. Somebody on each side is always a little upset. This is one of the people that got pinched in that they were, as I understand it, very close to the issuance, like almost come down and pick up your license kind of close when the carve out was passed. I'm not saying we can go back in time. We have evaluated that carve out, but I don't have a solution to offer you, but it would just seem better if there was something, some consolation. I know we all apply for entitlements. That's why they call them an entitlement, at the risk that the rules change. And there is case law that says rules can change up till the moment you're walking into the office to get your entitlement. But at the same time, this represents somebody who put a lot of effort in. I'm sure they put a lot of money in. Maybe there's an ability to transfer this license out of a carve-out zone. I don't know if this person has another property where that might be available, but maybe this is something where we could look at some kind of accommodation that's not an outright, sorry, thanks for trying. If they have another licensed property, maybe we make an exception and say, okay, you can have 2 licenses on. I don't know. I just think maybe when this does come before you, we can be creative in a solution. I don't know that the appeal will entice anyone. It's tough to upset that carve out, but at the same time, I do think it would be nice if we could contemplate some accommodation. Thank you.
Thank you. So at this point then, I would entertain a motion to continue this item to the October 12th, 2023.
Zoom.
Oh, you have a public comment on Zoom? My apologies.
Lori Wills, go ahead.
Hi, this is Lori Wills in Lewiston, and I'm one of the residents in the opt-out area. And I don't know much about this particular applicant, but to the best of my knowledge, I believe it's a transfer in to the opt-out. And this particular applicant does not have grandfather rights in the opt-out. And one other point I want to make, I've had a recent appeal of a CCL on Coffin Road, and Crystal Bell also had a recent appeal of the same CCL on Coffin Road. And we have both requested continuances in our particular appeals that were denied by the county or by the cannabis division. And so I have been following this case for months, and I don't understand why this one, why staff keeps allowing continuances on this particular case, when it seems to be kind of an open and shut case, in my opinion. And I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments on Zoom?
Melissa?
Hi, Melissa from Weaverville. I just wanted to comment. I am a little familiar with the Monev case, and he's actually been trying, I think he came into the, or tried to get into the program prior to the Lewiston opt-out actually occurring, and he's been trying for a while. So I just wanted to put that out there. Thanks.
Any other comments on Zoom? No. Okay, being no other comments on Zoom or in the room, we'll bring it back to the commission for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we extend the time for the appeal to the October 12th calendar. At that time, we'll hear the appeal.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Sharp, second by Commissioner Barrett. Any discussion?
I think everybody needs their day in court. So if he hasn't been heard for his appeal, then he has the right to have that appeal heard.
I agree.
Sounds good.
Is this a roll call vote? No. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. Motion passes 5-0. Okay. Motion, this agenda item is continued until October. We'll move on to item 5, annual initial variance request, CCV-22-01. An application request to reduce the required 350 feet commercial cannabis cultivation setback from neighboring residential structures pursuant to County Code Section 17.43.050A, Paragraph 8. The project site is located at 860 top of the grade, Douglas City, California, 96024, APN 025-530-032-000. Applicant X Ha, planner Ms. Hedke.
Thank you. So the story behind this one is that I was sick last week and we don't have an option for remote work. So I wasn't able to meet the deadline. So I have asked for the planning commission to continue it to the next meeting. And I look forward to finishing the staff reports to get these people moving.
Glad to see you're feeling better. Okay, so do we have any questions for Ms. Hedke? No. Since it was advertised for a public hearing, do we have any public comment in the room? Any public comment on Zoom? Okay, no public comment. We'll bring it back to the commission for a motion.
I make a motion that we postpone this until the August or the August 12th.
October.
What did I say? August. Oh, yeah. We won't do it in August of 2024. We'll do it October 12th of 23.
A motion by Commissioner Heaton. Do we have a second?
I second.
By Commissioner Sharp. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. Motion passes 5-0. We will hear this item in October. Item 6, annual initial variance request, CCV-22-37. An application request to reduce the required 350-foot commercial cannabis cultivation setback from neighboring residential structures pursuant to Trinity County Code Section 17.43.050A, Paragraph 8. The project site is located at 971 top of the grade, Douglas City, California, 96024, APN 025-530-030. Applicant B. Zhang, planner Ms. Hedke.
Same story with this one. Was sick last week, couldn't get it completed. And I am proposing that we continue it to the October 12th meeting where it can be heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I don't believe we have any questions. Given that this item was legally noticed for a public hearing, do we have any public comment in the room? Any public comment on Zoom? Okay. Then do we have a motion?
I get to do it. I motion that we go forward.
You gotta speak real clear on your microphone. Is that not loud enough?
No.
I motion that we extend this to October 12th.
Thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner Ellis. Do we have a second? A second by Commissioner Heaton. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. Motion passes 5-0. Okay. We will move on to Planning Commissioner reports. Do we have any Planning Commissioner reports?
I have a question. I was under the impression that also we were going to have the reason I'm even bringing it up is I have a fella out in Hitton Valley there that he, there's a cannabis grow, I think it's license 771, I think is what it was. And we thought it was going to be here on this go around of September. That's what he was told. That's what I was told. And so I was just curious of
What type of project?
it's a cannabis project in Hitton Valley,
Cultivation?
the cultivation.
Use permit or an appeal?
I'm not exactly sure what it is. All I know is that the guy is trying to get going from what I understand. I couldn't tell you who it is.
The commission doesn't approve.
No, but
license types.
it's supposed to come before because they are appealing the. Oh, it's in October?
I called the gentleman.
Okay, that was Mr. Gilman. Okay, thank you. Because he keeps sending me these texts. What do you find out? And I was like, so I've told him, and so I wasn't sure. So that's why I was wanting to just clarify so I could get back with him.
Other Planning Commissioner reports? I did just want to clarify one thing. So I did attend the Board of Supervisors meeting when they were discussing the change to 45 feet for R3 zone. And I did say that I was not there as a planning commissioner. I was there as a firefighter, that I was just representing myself. But somehow it seems a little confused in the Trinity Journal because they said Commissioner Fall said blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I went to a meeting. I had my fire hat on. So yeah, anyway, I just want to make it clear to you all that I was not speaking for the Planning Commission, and I told the Board of Supervisors that, but doesn't always end up that way in the newspaper.
I would add, just like everybody makes mistakes, I have called the Journal before to let them know that, sometimes something needs to be corrected.
I might do that. Okay, no other Planning Commissioner reports. Planning Director's report. You guys have anything from the staff? Do we have any idea what the status is of hiring a assistant planner?
We are currently looking into a senior planner, and the goal is to have one by the end of I don't know the specific timeline, but I do know that the goal is to have one as soon as we can, of course. The planning is a very complex job, and being an assistant planner myself, it can be a bit difficult to fully wrap my arm around or not arm, but head around. And it definitely would be very helpful to the planning department to have a senior planning official to help teach and clarify things, as well as help with getting done the bigger projects that take a bit more complex paperwork and understanding.
But no, we don't have any information on that for you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, then I think the last thing is we wanted to make it clear through an announcement that this meeting is available on the video recording on the Daryl Forsland YouTube channel. In the future, starting with our October meeting, that will not be an option. So if you are interested in the video of Planning Commission meetings on YouTube, it's on the Trinity County BOS YouTube channel. Am I saying that correctly? Yeah. It's, if you're trying to figure out that channel where we post our agendas online, there is a link to that, and you can click on that link and that will take you to the YouTube channel that has the live feed and the recording version. Okay?
I have a question for you on that. Is the reason for getting off of Darrow's website is because they're getting so many hits and the county's wanting all that money? Is that what it is?
No,
Oh, okay, I'll just check.
Don't worry, they're not taking any of your money.
Okay, I'm just checking.
I think it's mostly Darrow would just
Like to
not,
retire.
yeah. He works really hard. He would like to not work so hard.
Sounds good.
Okay. There being no further business, then this meeting is adjourned at 7:06. Okay, thank you, gentlemen.